process. Good morning, everyone. I'm Phyllis. I'm the facilitator for this morning's meeting. I'm going to go through our guidelines. Everybody here knows how we do things. Eracism is the slogan of the group Erace, which was formed in New Orleans in the summer of 1993. We seek ways through person-to-person communication to show that we are committed to treating all human beings with love, respect, empathy, compassion, and humility. Join us. Erace is an organization that does not espouse any political party, and we have no religious affiliation. We believe in acceptance of all people, and no personal attacks of any kind will be tolerated. We come with the intention to listen, learn, and not to argue. This is our land acknowledgement. We begin today by acknowledging that what we know as the United States is the ancestral and unceded territory of many indigenous peoples, and that there are many more nations and tribes that could be named here. Members of our meeting group today are on the lands of the Chitimacha and Choctaw in New Orleans, the Creeks and Cherokees in Atlanta, the Tonkawan, Lipan Apache, and Comanche in Austin, the Lenape and Piscataway in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, and the Wampanoag and Nipmuc peoples in Boston, the Coahuila and Mojave in Riverside, and the Lumbee in Fayetteville. We thank their ancestors for being stewards of these lands through the generations and through today. We need to protect and honor the history and people of these places. Despite centuries of colonial theft and violence, we should always remember that we are all still on indigenous land, and it will always be indigenous land. So I will be keeping a list of people who raise one finger to indicate they want to go on the list. Every time a person's on the list, they get 2 minutes to speak on the topic. If a person is speaking and they say something that you're not understanding a word or what they said, you can put up 2 fingers and I'll call on you to ask them a clarifying question. And that is simply to say, I didn't understand what you meant by. It is not to make a rebuttal or argue with what they said. It's simply to clarify. We don't interrupt, of course. We stay on mute if we're not speaking. And I'm checking, I forgot. Towards the end, I will let y'all know when I'm cutting off the list, and we'll move into the final wrap up. Anybody who hasn't spoken up till that time gets the full 2 minutes for their wrap up thoughts, and everybody else will get 1 minute. And I'm just now realizing I don't have a timekeeper. Oops. And I'll let y'all go around and introduce yourselves. I'll call on you. Nancy?
Good morning. My name's Nancy. I'm located in the New Orleans area, and I have been attending Erace since June of 2007.
Thank you. Beatrice?
I'm Beatrice here in East Point, Georgia, outside of Atlanta, attending Erace since 93, 94 when I lived in New Orleans. So glad to be here.
Marla, if you're there.
I am. I'm Marla. I am in the New Orleans area, and I've been attending Erace since around 2019. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Teresa.
Hi, I'm Teresa Roberson. I'm in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I've been attending since August 2022.
Glenn. Glenn. Okay, Leonetta.
Good morning, everyone. in the New Orleans area, and I've been a member of the race representatives 3 times in undergrad.
Leonetta, there's a lot of static. It's really hard to understand what you're saying. Just FYI, if you know why. Marion.
Good morning, Marion here. Good to see everyone. I've been attending the Erase discussion since June of 1993. In fact, I went to the very first Erase discussion, and not June of 1993. Good to see everybody. Looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you. Glenn, you there? Okay, well, we all know who Glenn is. So I brought this topic because a while back, after one of our meetings ended, this topic came up of somebody calling women females, and I was trying to make the case for why that is incorrect, and I don't think I did a good job of it. And these two articles, and honestly, I practically did a literature review of this topic. And I found these two articles from two good sources. I found a high school newspaper did an article about it, a college paper, maybe more than one, did an article about it. There were other random places it was talked about. So, and I don't know if this is something that's mainly applied to Black women. I kind of think not, but I'm not sure. So, I wanted to have a discussion about it and see what everybody thinks. And Glenn, be careful, there's 7 of us.
Yeah, I'm back. I was away from.
Oh, do you want to introduce yourself before I open the list?
Oh yes, Glenn Abdullah, and I've been coming to the race since '94. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the list is open. I don't know if you'll be able to hear the time, but I'll wave my phone up in front of the thing if you don't hear it. Teresa, you can go ahead.
All right. First of all, I want to say that this is just hilarious. There's one of my sisters lives in Virginia, and I have to call her, and I say have to, it is an obligation. I'm her younger sister. She acts like she's my mother, even though she's only 8 years older than me. I guess that's significant when we're younger, but anyway. So we were having our regular Saturday morning conversation. She and my brother-in-law had attended his class reunion. And she said, "Oh, we had such a good time. Carl was socializing with his male friends, and I was socializing with the female friends." And I just thought, I'm going to share this with the Erase group. They will not. But she didn't just say female,
Right.
is the thing. And I told her what today's topic was. And I was thinking when I was reading this article, I thought, yet again, a wonderful thing that I may spare myself because I'm not part of social media and I work from home. And the things that I do outside of home are yoga and pole dancing mostly. So it's like I'm always surrounded by women, and we don't refer to one another as female. We may say some other things, especially in pole dancing, and it's that type of female empowerment, familiarity. But I thought, wow, another wonderful thing I must be sparing myself from because I'm not a part of social media, because I don't hear it. I don't hear it at work. I don't hear it among the other women who I socialize with mostly. The times that I am around men these days, they are at yoga class. And that's still I guess stereotypically, at least around here, it's mostly women. I know that there are men. I mean, when half the class are men, it's like, wow, half the class is men. It's a surprising thing. So I would just say in those spaces, I'm not hearing it, but I certainly don't hear men refer to other men as male.
Can you
All
all
right.
hear this?
Not at all, but I saw you wave your phone, so I know
Okay.
I'm
I
done.
just want to know if anybody could hear it.
Okay.
Okay. The list is open. Thank you, Teresa. Marion, go ahead.
Okay. When I first saw the topic on site and I pulled it up, I thought, well, it does sound clinical. It sounds like a word you should only use in the doctor's office. Uh, we get these documents or forms, and they do have on them male or female. You know, check the box. I haven't seen that in a long time though, but it just sounds clinical to me. I don't personally. I don't mind being called a woman because that's what I am. Uh, I'm not going to have a hissy fit if someone says it out of context or in a non-medical situation, but I I am a woman. And I also thought about that song I heard in a movie, I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. Uh, and there's some other things that go along with it that sound positive. So, as I said, I won't have a hissy fit and I won't cause a civil disturbance if you say female, but I prefer the term woman. I don't mind you calling me a woman. Not at all.
Thank you. Um, Leonetta, you're next. Teresa,
Is this better? Can you hear me better?
not really.
Okay. All right. I don't know what I can do to make it sound what I can do. So I guess I just won't talk today.
Okay, I'm sorry
Sure.
about that. Okay, Teresa, you're next.
Yeah, another reaction that I had about this article is after I read it, I said, "Oh, another term to call about another bad term to call a woman." You know, there's more bad words to call women than there are men, and I just say that's the patriarchy knowing its impotence, and they have to lash out. Again, I blame testosterone because I always think, well, I am not a guy. I don't know what it is to have a surplus of testosterone and, you know, beat my chest, drag my knuckles. And it just seems like saying bad names and whatever. If I have been around some guys who just act like because they walk into the room, women should just fall all over them. And it's like, you're not all that. So I can see how, in that case, a man being, what is it, rejected, not every person handles rejection well, and I could just imagine being full of testosterone, very strong, just lashing out. And so another, I mean, it for the gist of the article is not that this is a positive. When a man is talking about females, it's disgruntled. It's not used in a positive way. And then biologically, there are, I mean, the article brought out biologically, plants can have female parts. So when you say the term female, you're voiding humanity. You're not talking about a specific woman or the total attributes of a human female. But I also use the word female when I'm talking about electronic parts. I mean, we recently had our uh part of our house packed up and whatever, and my sister and I were trying to find electrical plugs, and she said, "Oh, is it this?" I said, "No, I'm looking for the male part," or "I'm looking for the female part." So we use male and female, at least in my house, to even talk about connections, that has nothing to do with an organism. It has to do with, is this piece insert into another, or does this piece receive an insertion from another piece? So I even think of it in those terms. And my sister knew exactly what I was talking about. And was like, no, I'm looking for, and I can't remember if I was looking for the male part or the female part, but she had one and I had the same. And I was like, no, I'm looking for the opposite. So those terms really are dehumanizing, female and male, because it can talk about plants, other animals, even electronic parts. I think my 2 minutes are up, so I don't
Oh,
know.
yes. I was just waiting for you to finish your thought. That's
Okay.
fine.
I just want to throw that out, linguistically, that it need not talk about an organism.
Yeah. Do you want to get back on the list, Teresa?
Once I get motivated.
Okay. I've got then Beatrice and then Marla.
First of all, I think that the article made very well the point that the point of the article is very well taken. I had not really thought about that. I agree very much with what Teresa is saying. I just genuinely feel it is so important to be called what you want to be called, whatever that is. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. My name is Beatrice. People up here are going to say Beatrice, and I'm real close to hitting them because I say, look, baby, here's what you're going to do. Think about beer. You have a drink of beer, say beer, and then say tris. But my point is that a person has the absolute right to be called what he or she wants to be called, but not you to say what it is, especially if the implication being called female puts a whole different, I shouldn't say color, on things. You have the absolute right to be called a woman. You are a woman, and female refers, and as the article very well makes the point, which again I had not thought about. I don't know if anybody ever having called I even having seen anyone in my presence being called a female, and that means I have been asleep, evidently. But just the main point is that always reserve the right to be called in your name when that desire is yours. You have a right to that, and just stand up for it. So I just think the article makes very well the point that we don't go around calling men males, and so we should not have the right not to be called a female, because it does refer to other things in nature that are not us. And so don't mistake me for no flower.
Thank you, Beatrice. Marla?
Thank you. Yeah, to piggyback on what Beatrice said, I don't understand, and also the article mentioned this, I don't understand the resistance to calling somebody or referring to somebody in the way that they wish to be referred to. That part is what is a struggle to me. If somebody tells me that I got a pronoun wrong or something like that, I will say thank you so much for correcting. I'm going to try to do better next time. Thanks for letting me know. I mean, it's really not that hard. And then you keep it moving. So the resistance to this is kind of weird. And then the other thing that I noticed, that where I've observed it and how I've observed the word being used, it's never one female that I've heard men speaking of. It's always the females, the group of females. That's what females do. Again, it's never anything like females are so amazing. They're these incredible people and I love being around them. It's objectification, sexualization, all of those things. And where I've heard it and why I don't belong there anymore is in the gym. So I do not subscribe to gyms that have that sort of culture. Um, and I would say too, just as an observation, I do think I've observed or heard both white men and black men use it pretty much equally. Just for my personal experience. So I don't know if anybody else has had a different experience, but maybe that's also where I live too. So anyway, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. The list is open now. Marion, go ahead. You're muted. You're unmuted. Good talk.
All right. I just thought about something. Um, I've gotten lots of junk mail, uh, and it's addressed to Mr. Marion Lagarde because of the way my name is spelled. And when I was much younger, they used to confuse me. I said, because I didn't know that the O in my name denotes masculine. When I got older and watching old Hollywood movies, this guy, what's his name? The big macho man. What's his
John Wayne.
John Wayne? Yes. When they revealed his real name, his birth name, Michael Marion Morrison or Marion Michael Morrison, and I was floored. I said, "Oh, this is why I've been getting mail addressed as Mr. Marion." So I got over it a long time ago. If I get junk mail addressed Mr. Marion Lagarde, it's no big deal. I've also been called Marioni by a very young man at the doctor's office. And my family name was on the form when he called me. And so he called me Mr. Marioni McKee. I said, oh my goodness. And I sat there for a couple of seconds. Then he said it again, Mr. Marioni McKee. So someone in the waiting room said, oh, the person must have left. So when he said it a third time, I said, I stood up and I walked over. I said, let me see that. I said, that's me you're referring to. Oh, I'm sorry, Miss McKee. I said, no, it's not McKee, it's Mackie. He said, and I said, that's not Marioni, it's Marion. Oh, I've never heard that name before. So, very young man.
Hmm.
I've had that reaction several times from very young people in their 20s. They've never heard the name Marion before. So I don't get out of my box. I say it's an old name, old-fashioned name. Oh, it's a nice name, ma'am. Okay, 2 minutes really flies when you're having fun. I just wanted to share it with you
Thank
all
you.
from the words of Marioni, from the mouth of Marioni.
The list is
All
open.
right. Okay.
You want to go, Glenn?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
But I really don't hear women being referred to as female. When I'm talking about them, I say that woman. I say that woman can sing. I never say that female can sing. Uh, Now, like I say, in the general public, I don't hear it. Now, only time I run across it if I'm going online and they'll ask me male or female. It's in that view, it's in that arena that the female name will come up for a woman. But other than in my everyday language with other people, they use the word woman. So I don't know where this I don't hear it. But now I'll start paying attention to it if it's out there like that. I'll start seeing if I do hear men uh, not using the word woman. That's it.
Thank you. The list is open.
All right, I'll jump in.
Okay.
This is probably tangentially related, but I do notice when I see names and then I hear the voice, and the voice in my mind doesn't match what it says on the profile of male or female. And I'm kind of glad that because I work customer service from home. So they don't see me, I don't see them. And it's like, that's kind of deep voice for a woman, or that's kind of high pitch for a man. And I just like, okay, I guess I'll just whatever. And the only time I ever question something is when I'm running the insurance and it says that the gender code is incorrect. And then it's like, because usually we're not even allowed to say ma'am, sir, none of that. It has to be gender neutral. And when well, anytime insurance rejects, I said, it's rejecting because of gender. Can you please confirm what gender we should have on record? And then we have to go, okay, that matches, that doesn't. I mean, there are times when I think somebody just misclicks when they're doing the enrollment. Yesterday I thought it was funny. This mother was calling about her 8-year-old son, and she was listed as his spouse. And I thought, okay, I don't care how conservative or backwoods your society is. Nobody's marrying an 8-year-old, at least not a male, right? That's what you talk about, male and female, not our male children. Do we do that? I would hope no one has promised that, but I said, you are the parent, right? And I corrected that and whatever. But when you get into those, it's even kind of a sticky situation, because I do know, since I work for a pharmacy, the voices in my mind may not match what I see on the screen as the gender, and it may not match what the name is. But that is a case where I see male and female. But then again, I work for a pharmacy. So,
I have a question, Teresa. What term
yes,
do you use instead of ma'am and sir?
I don't say that all. I say their name.
Not
If I'm
Mr.
talking to
or
Phyllis,
Ms.
I talk to Phyllis. Yes, there is no yes, ma'am. It's okay. And nothing, if we're saying yes, no, have I answered all your questions? Well, thank you for calling. It's not thank you, ma'am, for calling, or thank you, sir. It's just thank you. Thank you for calling. So, yeah, it took me a while because I mean, I'm from the South. We always ma'am and sir people. So it took me a minute to stop saying that, but now it's come natural now. Mhm.
Thank you. The list is open. Anybody? Bueller?
Well, I can always talk, but it's
Go
off
ahead.
topic.
Go
So
ahead.
I thought of this group. I think it's Netflix that has what is it? Lifetime Achievement Award for Eddie Murphy. If you have not watched it, I especially if you're an Eddie Murphy fan, whether it's his movies or stand up, I've been an Eddie Murphy fan since, he was doing Raw and Delirious, like his lineup. So they're all telling all these wonderful stories about him. And there was one night that he was in an entourage of like 15 other black men. And this white woman came up to him and said, "Oh, I've never kissed a black man before, and I would just love to kiss him." And she asked if she could kiss him. And he said, "You can't just start at the top. You got to kiss some of these poor Negroes." And of course, he didn't use the word Negroes. And I thought, oh, I got to tell my racism group about that, because I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. But I just love how this rich black man was like, no, that's not going to be something special for me to kiss some random white woman just because she's never. And again, there's a lot of black men out there, but I just love that he told her that she couldn't start at the top.
I like it.
I told you I could tell an irrelevant story, but somehow still fits with the erase
It does.
philosophy or whatever.
Okay, Marla, I saw your hand raised. Anybody else want to jump on the list? Marla, go ahead.
That was funny, Teresa. I like that story. I'm not trying to stir up anything. I promise I'm not. But I would be curious to hear Glenn's perspective if he understands why the term female could be or is something that we don't want to be referred to as, that we would prefer to be referred to as women. And I also appreciated the perspective that he hadn't heard it. I mean, that's fair. Like a lot, I haven't heard it a lot lately. I think you do certainly see it more online than I hear it in the wild, but I've still heard it in the wild. So anyway, would just be curious on Glenn's perspective.
Glenn, I'll put you on the list after Beatrice if you want to say anything. Thanks, Marla. Go ahead, Beatrice.
It's kind of tangential too, but it has to do with name. When people call, or when I call to, let's say, order an airplane ticket or whatever, I'm talking to somebody, business person maybe calls me. Immediately, that person will start calling me by my first name. And I resent that. And I'm talking to somebody 25, 30 years old. Don't call me by my first name. So what I usually do will say, it's Mrs. Sublé. And most people will correct. Even some people, like if I call Xfinity, the cable people, the person will say, how would you like for me to refer? You know what? And that's fine. I said, Mrs. Sublé. All right. But there are times, and I can think of one that really, I said to this girl, it's Mrs. Sublé. And she did not call any name at all. I'm thinking, like Teresa, we don't say ma'am, but she didn't say any name at all for the rest of our conversation. In other words, she was not going to accept my corrective. She was not going to call me Mrs. Sublé. If she couldn't call me Beatrice by my first name, she wasn't going to call me nothing. And I said, that is very interesting. That is very interesting. And why would you not allow me to decide what I want you to call me? You probably 30 years old, I'm 80 something years old. I deserve respect. And even some people will say Miss Beatrice, which I'll take because that's respectful. Miss Beatrice. Again, I said it's tangential, but it goes back to the dignity that you have and the right to be called what you want to be called. And you calling me up trying to sell me something and you don't respect me enough to call me what I want to be called. So that's all. That's my that's my thing about names and naming and how to be called.
Thank you. Teresa has a clarifying question.
I just wanted to make sure that was telephone, over the phone, or in person.
Over the phone. Oh, not in person. No,
Okay.
on over the phone. Over the phone. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Glenn, did you want to respond to Marla's question?
Right. No, I was totally unaware that it was an insult to a woman to be called a female. I was totally unaware of it. But I never used the terminology. Uh, Even when I'm working with electrical parts, male and female parts, they called, the plugs, female, and uh, but I never, even when I'm dealing with that, I don't say, I don't, I never even have to use it. I just know it just, I know the terminology for something electrical, male and female. I never express it. Uh, so, so while y'all were first talking about this, I went Google it and asked Google, is it an insult to call a woman a female? Because I was totally unaware of it. And Google said yes, it's definitely, So so yes, I was totally unaware of it.
Thank you, Google.
Thanks, Glenn. Interesting.
Okay, the list is, Teresa, go ahead, and then the list is open.
Yeah. So, I just want to say that, especially at the job that I work now, we are trained not to say Miss, Mr., ma'am, sir, none of that. And perhaps the person you were talking to, Beatrice, was afraid that their audit was going to get dinged, because we get dinged for really stupid things. I remember I had an auditor that didn't like the fact that I said alrighty and said that I need to use proper words. I just thought, I mean, if it's your job to find fault in whatever anyone is saying, they're going to find something. But, and I still say alrighty, so that didn't help at all. I'm just thinking, perhaps my company is not the only one that's trying to go gender neutral, and we are trained to refer to patients as, by their first name, and to make it seem like it's it's gender neutral, it's not hierarchical or whatever. But I do feel that when I see the person's age, I feel weird referring to them by their first name. But I know I'm going to get dinged if an auditor listens in on the call and that I have said Mr. this or Ms. that or whatever, use a title, because I'm not supposed to. I'm absolutely not supposed to. If that makes it any better. I mean, I don't know what company that person works to, but I do know one thing. I can always tell the patients who are used to other people mispronouncing their name. I forget who said the sweetest thing most people hear is their own name. So when you get somebody's name right, who typically has it mispronounced, they're just like, "Whoa, thank you. I have you got that absolutely right." It's like, yes. But I just say I work customer service and I try, but I only have 5 seconds to look at that name, give them a greeting, and in the beginning, say who I am by my first name, and then ask if it's, and then I have to say their full name at least that first time. And then from then on out, I refer to them as their first name. So that's how I'm guessing that not I work for the only company that says that you refer to everyone who calls in by their first name. And it kind of makes sense, because why would you say Mr. and Mrs. for this person, but then not the other? Call them all by their first names, and then you just eliminate any type of favoritism or whatever. So,
Thank you. Marla, you're next.
Yeah, I would just add to that conversation. I also work from home on the phone, no video calls, and I'm speaking to patients, and I haven't received, as far as like exclusive training about not saying Miss or Mister that I recall, but certainly we're supposed to use the first name. And it's encouraged to give that affirmation by using the first name, to the point where maybe it does feel a bit unnatural at times. There's nothing set in stone saying you have to say the person's name this many times, but that it does personalize it, I guess, for the experience to call somebody by their first name. So I have found myself, Beatrice brought up an interesting point. I do sometimes go back to like, oh, thank you, Miss Jane, or thank you. And I don't know if I'm like calling the East Coast, if that's like weird for them. You know what I mean? I have no idea. But anyway, I think we're able to see gender as well. So uh, typically there's not a question there. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you. The list is open. I can say this is very off topic of using female, but my name was mispronounced once, and it was the most delightful experience I've had. And because my last name rhymes with Penny, but somebody called out Ms. Tenay, and I just felt fancy. I felt fancy. And that happened here in New Orleans, and it only happened once. But if it happened again, I would be equally delighted. Thank you. Glenn, you're up.
Yeah, um, yeah. Since Teresa brung up that they got to be gender neutral when they answer, uh, and the when I'm calling my bank, or calling the cell phone company, they'll say, "Give me your name," and then they will say, "May I call you Glenn?" So that takes it out of the ma'am or the. So they'll just be focusing on just the name. So I see why they do that now. And uh, uh, something I wanted to say. Uh, I'll come back.
Okay. List is open. Teresa?
Now, back in the day, I worked as a independent customer service agent, and there was one guy, and I kind of guessed, I didn't know because we're all working from home, but we all were in the same chat. And he thought he would give everyone a piece of advice. And this is just going back to the conversation, call people what they want to be called. And so he thought he was doing somebody a favor. I don't know who, but he said, I think it would really help some of you out if you had less ethnic names. And I wanted to rip it up, but I was like, nah, I'm making money. I'm not going to mess up my money. But I just wanted to say, oh, you mean ethnic names like Siobhan, James, John? I mean, which ethnics are you talking? I knew exactly which ethnics he was talking about, but it's just like, wow, you just put that out in chat. And again, we were all independent. We were not employees, so to speak. So we could all just work as much as we wanted to and whatever. But I just thought that was amazing that somebody that was a good piece of advice to give to someone else.
Like people pick their own names. First of all.
Well, some people do.
Well,
Some people don't like. I mean, I have had students who did not like the spelling of their names and spelled it a different way. And I'm looking and I thought, oh, okay. And I must admit, for my one student who didn't like the spelling, the original spelling of her name, I was like, well, I agree with how you spelled it versus how your parents spelled it. It looks more interesting. But anyway.
thanks, Teresa. Glenn?
Yeah, you, you know, if there's sometimes when I'm looking at a person, I can't tell whether they're male or female. Uh, I sometimes take some males as a female, and well, they're because that's what they wanted. That's what they want to be. But like I say, uh, I'd be talking to them like they're a woman because I can't always tell if they're male or female. That's all I wanted to say.
Can you clarify how you talk to them differently when you think they're a woman than you would if you if you thought they were male, men?
Oh well, no, it's no. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I told one dude, I said you could have been a model. That's what I told one of them.
You could say that to a man.
No, 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 no. The person understood what I was talking about. What gender I was talking about. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. The list is open. Do we want to go into the wrap up? Okay. So Nancy and Lynetta are the ones who haven't been able to speak. So Nancy, do you want to go first?
Okay. When I initially saw it, I really didn't understand what the topic was supposed to be about. I was kind of confused, but as you all were talking, I kind of did a little bit more research on how, for some people, being called a female, they could find it offensive. How some it can be used to demote the stature of a woman to just their sex only. Um, so that's really why I haven't really said anything because I really didn't understand what I was reading, and I have not myself run into a situation where I felt where I was being demeaned. I don't think I've ever been referred to as just a female. Maybe I have and I didn't pay any attention to it because it just didn't matter to me. But anyway, it was an interesting topic, and I learned some things from this discussion. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Leonetta, do you want to see if we can hear you? No, you've got your, oh, there you are.
Let's see if it's an interesting topic. Is it better?
It's still not good.
Okay, well, go ahead. Go on with the meeting.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, Beatrice.
Interesting discussion, and glad I could join in. And thanks for the article, Phyllis. Good to be with you, all of you.
Thank you. Teresa.
Yeah, I'm glad that out of all the bad words that people, or I should say men, really have to call women, this is like one of the least that I hear. So I'm glad it's not too popular in my world or my existence, but you know, another good reason to not be on social media, I guess. Thank you.
Glenn.
No, I don't have anything else to contribute.
Okay, thank you. Marion.
Okay, I thought about this while you said wrap up. Let me see if I can say this real quick. I thought about what our group is based on, racism, and I thought about how Black women over 21 years old or over 18 years old, when the legal age was 21, were called girl. So this is another thing we could have been discussing. Uh, Again, I agree with the lady who wrote this article on the back part of at the bottom of page one on the back. It says it's not about biology; it's about respect, and that's what we have to be aware of, giving women the respect that is due them. Thanks for this article; it was very interesting.
Thank you, Marion. Marla.
Yes, interesting discussion. Appreciated everybody's perspective as always. And thanks for the articles, Phyllis.
Thank you. Did everybody know there were two articles?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll do my wrap up. Yeah, when I heard this spoken at the end of one of our meetings, the word female for females, it just, I found it so irritating. Like the Jezebel article with the fingernail on the chalkboard, that was very appropriate to me, how I feel about it. And I don't know that I've heard it in public. I don't even know that I've heard it on social media, but I'm aware of it being out there as a term. And I just hope that those who weren't here today maybe will watch the video and get some new perspective. I appreciate Marion bringing up the term girl, because that is like, if I hear a white woman refer to a Black woman as girl, I'm like, stop. But I walked into a patient's room once, and she's older than me, African American woman. And I said, "Hello, Miss So-and-so, it's Phyllis." And she went, "Girl." And I was like, "Oh." I was like, "I'll take that." So I think there are generational differences, there are racial differences and who can use what terms, there are obviously gender differences. And I think it's hard here, not hard because I just call people Miss so and so or Mr. so and so, first name or last name. At work, I feel like I should be calling you Miss Beatrice. I'm sorry, I never did that. Miss Mary. And Miss Nancy, that would be funny. So but I don't care if people call me Miss Phyllis or just Phyllis, but now I've been here long enough, I really notice it when they say just Phyllis. And it doesn't bother me, but I'm like, oh, okay. But I do think it's important to understand what language is being used to dehumanize and degrade and put certain characteristics on human people, women especially. So that's all I have to say. I'm gonna stop the recording and we'll do announcements.